Welcome to another episode of I Am Tired of Church. Have you ever wondered why people don't like the grace message and the excuses they bring against it? The main excuse is, if God is love and loves that much, then I can do whatever I want and still be forgiven. I'm just going to live whatever I do, whatever I want, and go wherever I want, and party like I want to party, and do whatever I please, and God's still going to love me. And the answer is yes. The grace message and God's grace is that big. You can go and do whatever you want, come back, and God's still going to love you. Even if you don't come back, God's still going to love you. Yes, go and party. Go and do it all. You know, that's the excuse people want to have. This is why they despise the message of grace. This is why they hate it so much. And they have to follow grace with justice. Yeah, God is love, but He's also just, and He's going to lash out. See, with grace, law doesn't exist no more. There is no more law with grace. Grace frees you from the law and the bondage of religious mentality and mindsets. Yes, grace says, go and do whatever you want. You know, grace is like a license to sin, as some people call it. Yes, it is. But if that's your mentality and you always respond to, well, I can do whatever I want and still, then your mind tells you right there with that excuse why you're in this relationship with God in the first place. Because it's about what it benefits you. The reason I'm going to church and the reason I do all these things is to please God. You're a liar. You do it to keep yourself safe from God's vengeance. Maybe not consciously, but maybe you do it consciously. This is what God's grace is like. If you hear my parakeets behind me, the truth is, they have the mindset of many religious folks. They truly do. Why? Because I have placed them in a cage. And this cage represents the law. I have put them in a cage, and the cage has little bars. Okay? And these bars keeps them in check. So these are the things that the church uses to keep us Christians in check. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. You better read, you better pray, you better go to church, you better fast, you better unite with others, you better not curse, you better not smoke, you better do this, you better do that. And they give you all these rules. So what happens is if I happen to take this bird and open its cage, what do you think is going to happen? That bird is going to get out that cage and fly away. Why? Because that bird is so used to being caged up that it has the mentality where, I can go and fly away and go do whatever I want and live my life. You see, but a bird that lives under grace, it's a bird. Okay, my parakeet, if it lived with grace and under God's grace and understood God's love, I can take my parakeet and put him on my shoulder. And the parakeet is going to be like, I can fly away. For what? I'm just going to come back. Because there's nothing out there. Why fly away and do the things I please when I know I can just rest on my Father's shoulder and be loved? See, this is the message of grace. You stay where you're at with God. You don't go personally trying to fulfill all your desires. You see, because most people, when they say, oh, that means I can do whatever I want, it always follows with bad things. Oh, I can go smoke, drink, I can go kill people. You'll never hear a person say, I can do whatever I want. Oh, I can go feed the poor, I can go raise the dead, I can go give food to the homeless, I can do all that, huh? Of course you can. But you never hear that. They always follow it with something bad. Oh, I can go kill and rape and murder, and God's still gonna love me, huh? Almost like with a chip on their shoulder. See, and what keeps you who hate the grace message in check are those bars and those rules. Why? Because you might need that. You might need to, every time you somehow slip and fall, I need to find something to stand me up. Something to get me back on my feet because I'm falling away from the grace. You can't fall away from grace. You just can't. You see, so if I take a parakeet, or once you learn how to live the message of grace, it'll be just like a parakeet. You put him on your shoulder, and you know what? If that parakeet knows true grace, I can, like a pirate, I can go and have a sword fight with the other pirates, and that parakeet's going to stay on my shoulder because it understands grace. It's not going anywhere. It understands grace. But if you're the one who needs to be caged up because you're afraid of what you might do, if you begin to truly believe that God loves you that much, then you might need that cage. And if that's you, that's fine. But you need to get away from that mentality and the jealousy of those who live under the message of grace. I know I can go do whatever I want, but why bother? A good example is the prodigal son. That's a perfect example. That prodigal son, what did he do? I'm going to go squander my life and do whatever I want. He did it. Till he was broke. You can go do whatever you want too. You'll be broke spiritually. What did that prodigal son do? Well, he came back and he said, Father, forgive me for I did this and I did that. Forgive me. What did the father say? Nothing. He didn't even address that. He just said, hey, get this guy a calf. Let's go. Party time, baby. That's what the father said. That's God's grace. You fall away, you don't have to come begging, God, please, I'm going to do so much more for you now. I am going to preach to the world. I am going to fast. And God was like, shut up, dude. Party time. Hey, my son's back. That's God's grace. My son's back. My son finally understands grace. But those who hate the grace message are like the other son. Dad, but I've been following all your rules. You didn't throw me a party. What's up? The dad says, hey, everything I have is yours. And everything God has is yours. You just never believed it. Or you just can't come to the realization. Because that guy, although he was there all that time, he didn't understand God's grace. So he wasn't spiritually there. He was physically doing all these extra chores to try to please the father, hoping for a little party. He didn't get his party. The son went away and did, like many say, I could do whatever I want. He sure did. Went out till he finally realized, oh crap, this life sucks. I'm going back to where I know there's true peace. And true peace is found through Christ and through the message of God's grace and love for you. I've said in my past videos, you cannot out-sin God's grace. You just can't. You can try, like the prodigal son. When he came back, if you read that parable, the kid said that, hey, I'm sorry, Father, I did all this and all that. And the next word out of the father's son was, hey, party time. He didn't address that. And you have to stress that. He didn't say, okay, well, son, I'm going to give you 30 days to live here. If I see that you changed, then I think we might have something good going on, all right? But you have to earn your respects. You have to work out here. You need to, you messed up. You threw everything away. What happened? Come on, son. You got to work for this. Nope. He didn't even address that. It's almost like if your son comes up to you, your daughter, who did something wrong. Dad, I'm sorry. I think I sinned against you, and I want to work. Make me work like your hired servants. And you're like, son, daughter, hey, let's go play baseball. You don't even address that situation. Why? Because that child falls into your grace. And you can easily do that, but when the people who say, oh, I can do whatever I want, don't believe that God's grace is like that. It's greater than our grace that we have for our children, our friends, our family, husband, wife. Brother, that excuse of I can just live whatever I want, do whatever I want, it's excuse, and it keeps you chained up just like my parakeet. You'll be just like my parakeet. in this cage. And the minute they crack that cage open, you might even be afraid to get away. For if you do get away, you don't know what you'll do. But what you need to do is just get on the shoulder and just chill out. Chill out in God's presence. You cannot out-sin God's grace. What Jesus Christ did was enough. And don't ever, ever forget that.